Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beginners Competitors podcast. Today, I'm very excited. We are going to try something new. We are expanding. Yes, we are. So what we're doing for these next couple of weeks, a little series about some interesting people I met at a competition, one of the largest one, regional amateur in Canada, King Kong. And I met a few competitors in other categories. And I met a very interesting person from the bikini division. So today I have my guest with me. Wait, Dr. Becky. Is it okay if I call you Dr. Becky?
Absolutely.
Yes. So we have a doctor with us in the house. I don't even like to, you know what? I don't feel yet comfortable being called doctor, but I'm working through it. But she's a real one though. So what I'll do, I'll read you her bio. It's quite lengthy, but I want you to pay attention to it because we're going to touch some points and ask Dr. Becky a little bit question about like, how did she get into bodybuilding and why she's doing it? All right. So Alecia is, she's an athlete her entire life, really her entire life. So she's been competing at the collegiate level, national, international level in track and field. And she does the heptathlon, right? So like 7 division, super athletic, of course. And she's also doing bobsleigh, representing Canada. So Dr. Becky is an Olympian. So she attended University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, where she graduated with honors, receiving a Bachelor in Science, focused in kinology and exercise science, and a minor in chemistry. Chemistry. She's also a certified strength and conditioning specialist who has acquired a wealth of knowledge through personal experience and working with a variety of clientele. Having the foresight toward a career in healthcare post her professional athletic endeavors, Alecia, or Dr. Becky, attended Palmer College Chiropractic West, graduating salutatorian, receiving her doctorate in chiropractic. Congratulations. Now she practices in Los Angeles, so in LA, at a movement-based manual care clinic. Dr. Becky keeps her competitive engine and by competing in bodybuilding world, which we're talking today. She competes in the NPC, so the National Physique Alliance, and also the CPA, so our Canadian, so the Canadian Physique Alliance competition. And of course, she's a top 5 athlete and also, top 5. We'll talk about that as well. So we'll talk about your plans. I'll leave that little part at the end because we'll talk about what's next for you. We don't want to give them the punch. So welcome, Dr. Becky.
Thank you, Dr. Flo.
Okay, I received that. I know you're super busy, so I just want to say, like, right off the bat, thank you so much for taking the time. I really connected with you, with your story, and I'm very excited to share with people. So first, let me tell people how we met. Actually, we did not meet first. So after the show, like, I'm a big bodybuilding fan, and so I stayed and I watched the bikini because it was running a bit late. So yeah, so I watched the bikini, and then I went to the crowd where I saw some interesting people, and I saw your mother in the stand. And she was like cheering for you. I was like, oh, that's my daughter. She told me a lot of stuff about you. She was telling me how she's been there since 1. By that time, I think, guys, it was 11 p.m. Okay. And she was like, yeah, I'm so proud of her. And when I saw your mother, I actually recognized my mother in her. And I was like, she's a special mother. And because I know she's a special mother, I knew that she had a special daughter. So welcome.
Thank you. That's so sweet. But yes, my mom is definitely my number 1 cheerleader. She always has been. She's always been very encouraging to anything that I wanted to try. And I guess you could say like that started from age 3 when she just saw I just had an abundance of energy. And so she went into gymnastics, and then, it was gymnastics, then it was track, and then it was, any kind of sports camps and stuff like that. So she's always just been an encourager for any endeavor really that I want to partake in. So sure.
So if you don't mind, let's take a look back at how you started and how you got there, because you said that you were in Canada and Ontario with your mother. So you said you were always an athlete. So you did gymnastic. At which level did you do gymnastic?
So I started gymnastics when I was 3, and I competed provincially, I guess you can say, until I was 14. And then I started track when I was 10, and I brought it all the way up to the international level. So I've competed internationally with track. And then I started bobsled in 2015. And I did that through the Olympic cycle of 2018 for Pyeongchang. Okay,
this is so cool, because this is the first time that we actually have an Olympian on our podcast. And so like, I'm curious about the process, like even how you get into the Olympics. I'm actually curious.
Yeah, so I mean, I was on the Olympic team, but I can't necessarily call myself an Olympian because I did not compete at the Olympics. I was part of that Olympic year, Olympic cycle and everything like that, but I wouldn't quite say that I made that, pinnacle of achievement. But how I got into bobsled was, it is typical that they will kind of look at athletes that are powerful, strong, and fast. And fast is kind of the top tier thing. So they'll look at track and field, they'll look at soccer, they'll look at football, they'll look at rugby. And I had a teammate at Illinois that went to pursue track afterwards as well. And someone was like, well, you should probably look into bobsled. And she was kind of like, I don't really like a winter sport kind of person. And in any case, she was convinced. She ended up going to the 2014 games and she won a bronze medal. And I was just like, that is amazing. And so I was kind of going through a few injuries, a few transition through coaching, and the infrastructure not really being there, of being at school, having a jumps coach, a throws coach, nutritionist, therapy, all in one place. And then when I graduated, I had to find all those things in multiple different people. And so I had a conversation with her, and she was just kind of like, well, you should look at the Canadian team. They're pretty good. And interestingly enough, I look into the Canadian team, and we were number 1 and 2 in the women's division. And, I just decided to just like give it.
So like you did the King Kong, the CPA one, you prepped for that. You finished what?
So I competed in the Masters 35 plus category, and I finished second.
Bikini, right?
Bikini. Mm-hmm. And then I also competed in the bikini class D. So it's over 5'6", and I placed 4th.
And how many people were in all your division? Because there was a lot of girls on stage.
Yeah, so there were 17 in each category.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Did you know, like, what was your plan going to that show?
So initially the plan was we were going to compete in August, and just life things kind of happened, and we weren't able to really make that work, especially with travel of me coming in from LA, and I'd have to be home for 2 weeks. We wanted to set, at least me, to go for my pro card before I turned 35, before I was a master. But I was like, time is not really on my side with not being able to compete in August. So we kind of made a pivot and said, we'll compete at King Kong. We will qualify for nationals for next year. We have to place top 3. And then next year, that will be the aim and the objective. So I did what I needed to do by placing top 3. I would have loved to get a win in either of the categories, but it was fierce competition. And if I'm being honest, like the show that I did compete in a show in 2020.
So that was your second show, right?
Yeah, my second was your show. My first Canadian show, but my second show ever. And the first show that I competed in Sacramento was right kind of in the meld of the pandemic lockdown kind of thing. So we had matching masks to our suits, and you had the option if you wanted to wear a mask or not.
You had the mask?
I didn't wear the mask because it's the whole package. Like they need to see you smile. They need to see the presentation and everything. So in that show, I won my category. I won the open category, but I got the jitters out of being on stage, and that novice nature of, oh my gosh, I'm in this shiny bikini in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, that feeling, eh? Were you always comfortable? Like, No? So how did you build towards that? Like,
I had a teacher in grade school that used to say, anytime we had to do any kind of presentation, she's like, the audience doesn't know what you're about to say.
true.
So present it with confidence as if that is exactly what you were supposed to say or do, and they would never know the difference. And I've kind of taken that on with a lot of things. It's not really a fake it till you make it, but it's like, if you present whatever it is that you're saying or doing with confidence, people will have confidence in you. You are kind of going to create that mirror effect. So for me, I used to like watch these bodybuilding shows and fitness shows when I was a kid and see my mom doing her like, you know, Suzanne Summers workouts and Thigh Master and this and that and all this kind of stuff. And I just thought it was so great just to like be involved in fitness and just really take pride in your temple, your body. And
I love that.
I kind of, although it wasn't the most comfortable thing to say, like, I'm going to be in this, you know, shiny bathing suit, it's the art of it. It is the hard work that you get to then present to the world and say, like, look what I have done. And I am so proud of myself. Whether or not you place first, second, or 17th, you are still, you made it on stage. And that was kind of just like the main objective and goal of me, just like, I just want to do a show. And then now it's like, okay, well, I've done a show. What's next?
What's next? I want the crown. You know, I want the floor card, right? Exactly. But you dabbled in so many different like sports, and I hear people say all the time, bodybuilders, when I watch them on their shows, say, "Oh, bodybuilding is the hardest sport ever. It's hard, even harder than being Olympian." But you know, they've never really been a high level. I'm not saying some of them are not, but since you actually have that experience training like an Olympian and being a bodybuilder and track and field as well and gymnastic. So tell us the real deal. Is bodybuilding really the most difficult, hardest sport to train and to do?
You know, I won't say that one is harder than the other. They just fall into these very different categories. So, like I was saying before, when I'm training for track, bobsled, gymnastics, it's performance-based. When I'm training for bodybuilding, it's aesthetic-based, and it's hard in a totally different way. The diet, the restrictions, getting in all your water, like this bottle lives with me. Everyone knows that it's like, if you don't see this with me, it's like, where's your water bottle? And it's just I would say the mental side of bodybuilding can definitely be harder.
Yeah.
Because you do everything, let's say, you know, you're doing a 4-month prep. So in those 4 months, you are getting up early, you're waking up and doing your cardio, or you're going and doing a fasted workout, you're getting in your meals, you're meal prepping, doing all these things. No one sees any of that. They see your 15-second performance.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like the tip of the iceberg that is just like so shiny and beautiful, but it's like everything that leads up to it. So it's difficult in the sense that you are your own cheerleader, you are your best critic, you are your worst critic, and then you have to deal with the aftermath of the post-show blues.
Yep.
Okay, now I've done all these things, and I know that I can't be show ready every single day, but I do want to eat, you know, that beef patty and, you know, the fried this and the fried that or whatever. But you have to be in moderation, because if you want to do another show, you have to think about the 4 months leading up to it again and go, do I want to go back 20 pounds up, 30 pounds up?
Yep.
Have to lose it again. And then it's also the element of you work so hard, and if you do it in a healthy way, it could be fun. It can also be so much fun. Like, it doesn't have to be stressful. People think that it's like so hard because it's so stressful and I can never do it because of the food, but I kind of like the structure. I like being able to say I meal prepped on a Sunday and I know exactly what I'm going to eat for the week, and I don't have to like think about it. I don't have to have like decision fatigue. It's like, yep, I know what I'm eating today. I'm having some sweet potatoes and chicken.
So how did you make your prep fun, enjoyable? Because we usually complain a lot, right? So What other things did you make it fun?
So for me, this is also my first time living alone. And so I didn't have to like be restricted with like fridge space. Whereas last time I had to think about, okay, well, I don't want to take up the whole fridge. Like my roommate be like, hey, like, can I get a stove kind of a thing? So I usually prep on Sundays and Wednesdays for my food. And my workouts are kind of structured in 4-week blocks. And so I just kind of know what's coming up. And I know that, you know, even surrounding like events and other things that are going to be happening, I could say, okay, well, I know every other Tuesday, me and my coworkers, we have a meeting and we do rounds and we'll discuss, but we do it over dinner. So it's like, okay, I'm going to bring a bit more of a fun meal while they're eating whatever they're eating, but I'm still going to eat with them. But it doesn't mean that I can't still go somewhere.
Okay.
If I'm going to a farmer's market with some friends or whatever, it's like, I just bring my food. So it's like, I have my little tuna and my rice cake and they're, you know, eating from a food truck or whatever. So it's like, I never really feel like I'm missing out because I'm still eating when everyone else is eating. I'm just not eating the same thing. So I just tried not to put my mindset into like a victim state of like, because realistically, I'm choosing to do this. I'm making a choice. It's not like this forced thing. It is definitely a choice. And so with that, I just kind of kept it really light and enjoyed the process of like seeing the transformation, seeing, you know, what I guess you could say like, this is something that I thought would only happen in like a movie, but I usually work out at LA Fitness and there was a gentleman that just like kept seeing me. And so one day, as I don't know if you do this, but as you get closer to the show, you're kind of doing your posing routine as your rest.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm in between sets and I'm posing.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. And I take my headphone out and he's like, are you an athlete? Are you bodybuilding? Like, what do you do? And I was like, yeah, I'm training for a show. It's in a few weeks. And he's like, I think your discipline is so amazing. What day is your show? And I was like, it's on the 13th. He's like, okay, on the 16th, I'm going to make you a cheesecake. And I was like, oh, I was like, that's so sweet. And so he just appreciated the fact that I was so disciplined and he just was encouraged by seeing me work out. And I thought that was also cool because I think for me in all of the sporting things that I've ever done and that I want to continue doing, and as a doctor of chiropractic, I want to practice what I preach. I want to be able to authentically say like, I think that you should do X, Y, Z, and not just because a book says so, but because I have the personal experience that with consistency of doing X, Y, Z, these are the results that you can see. And so to be able to inspire individuals, whether I know that I'm inspiring them or not, it was just a really cool feeling.
Oh, that's super cool. But you know what? Like, I can definitely tell by the way you speak and what you've done and in your life is that you have a successful mindset, and this is why you're like, we're seeing the resolve. So I hope that people took notes because there were so many gems that you provided in terms of basically of trying to figure out, like, take the positive element and process it because you're the one, like you mentioned, like we choose to do this, right? So to see the good in it, and you know, this is so awesome that people just come up to you and support you, and you don't even know this. So like sometimes you don't even know who you're inspired. And this is why I want to have someone like you, because you have a strong aura. I believe in the energies and auras and vibes. And I absolutely love your vibes. And I have no doubt that you're going to go far because, you know, you have the passion, not only you have the heart, but also like we can tell that you put in the work and you're dedicated and you have done that in other areas in your life. So it's just like, just another process, another thing that you're doing. So I think that's really awesome what you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It was honestly, when you had asked me, you know, to be on your podcast, I was just like, I think it's so amazing to see other Black professionals in the world of competition, regardless of all the other things that are happening in their life. And I think being able to, for you, to even have another thing to your career that you're doing podcasting is like so amazing. Like, I think that is so cool. So I learned
so much. Thank you. Because I learned so much from you all. Because I take notes, because this is much for me that is for the people. Because I think success, like they say, leaves clues. And you can always learn. There's always an opportunity, whether you had a good experience like you had, and or like not such a great experience, but still a lessons, right? So it's nothing is bad. It's always like we're still learning. And I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Becky, for coming to our podcast, giving us some excellent tip. So before we close out, I want to ask you one more question. What would you say like would be the biggest tip if somebody, let's say, okay, maybe it's for me. Let's say that, you, or whatever you are, like whether you're competing or whatever you're doing a fitness goal, but like you did your time, your effort, your best, you invested time, months, whatever. But maybe like for someone, they look in the mirror and they're still not seeing the progress, or they wished they would have been at by now, or maybe they were not recognized, or they didn't really reach that end goal. Like you said, like you had the plan, you reached your end goal. Like have you had times when you didn't reach your goals, and how did you overcome, or how did you readjust?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically what I do is I make SMART goals. So I don't know if you've heard of the acronym SMART. So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I make a SMART goal, I'll have like a big overarching goal, and then I'll have progress goals along the way. And that way I can just kind of readjust so that I'm always feeling some type of satisfaction of accomplishing something, instead of, oh, the staircase is just so far away to reach that end goal. So for instance, my overarching goal when it comes to fitness and sports and everything like that is I want to look like a superhero.
Oh,
like, I want to be able to, like, any person, whether they know me or don't know me, they look at me and they don't have to have a question like, do you work out? Question mark. Right?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know.
Right? I want it to be like, oh, you work out. And so that's kind of like the overarching goal. And so I always kind of keep that in mind, even if I'm like yesterday going to a Thanksgiving dinner and having a piece of pie or an extra piece of pie, whatever it is. That is one time. That's not every day. It's the cumulative effect. I really, truly believe that there is this like balance of 80-20 in all the things that you do so that you're enjoying life with the people that are around you. Not everyone around you is going to have the same, big grandeur goals of being on stage during a figure or bikini competition. So when I make these kind of progress goals along the way, I can then adjust. So if it was the case that I wanted to be at a certain weight or at a certain measurement by week 6 of my prep, and then I'm not there, what do I need to do to get there? And then I make a new goal. So during this prep, for instance, I wasn't able to do morning fasted cardio because sometimes I would have patients at 7 a.m. or I'd have a house call at 6, or I would be with back-to-back patients. So I know I'm only going to get to eat in the morning and I'm only going to get to work out in this time spot. So it was just like balancing those kind of things. And so I got to a point where I was just like plateauing. Like I wasn't losing any weight. I wasn't gaining any weight. I wasn't, body composition wasn't changing. It was just very stagnant. So I decided to do a little 30-day challenge. So I did 100 kettlebell swings every day for 30 days. And I posted on Instagram every single day, made sure that I got in my swings, and then a few other people started to join me. And so for me, it was just like the accountability of using social media for what it's technically supposed to be, to connect people. Right. And it was another way for me to be accountable, because sometimes people be like, hey, Alecia, where are your swings today? And then that would also, kick me into high gear. And with doing that, I ended up breaking my plateau because I added in something different to my routine. And I was able to, get a few gains from it. So my abdominals were working, my glutes were looking firmer, cardiovascular health was up there. And so it had all these kind of like residual side effects that were like great, but it also had this compound effect of, okay, now that I've broken that plateau, I was able to hit this goal. Now, how do I make another goal to still accomplish the overarching goal. So I think you need to give yourself some grace. That's like
grace.
And then the second thing is, if you are doing something consistently, let's say for 3 weeks, and you're seeing no change, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And as a woman of science, you would understand that you still need to give it some type of consistent time, but you also need to make some changes to your hypothesis and your method so that it isn't just madness that you're leading yourself into. So sometimes it's just like the smallest tweak. And for me, it was like adding in the kettlebell swings, or instead of half a cup of oats, I'm only doing a quarter cup, or, little things like that. So I'm still getting in, the things that I really like to eat, but maybe just not in the quantity that I was doing before, just so that I could see a change.
So what I'm hearing, Dr. Becky, is that you are very objective. You don't take things too personal. Like, you are able to look at really high level, analyze, assess, and you remove like the emotional part of it. And you look at it as an information. It's not a setback, just information for you to readjust.
For sure. And don't get me wrong. I am also a very emotional person. One of the reasons why I enjoy having a coach, because on the days when I just feel like I'm doing all the things right and nothing is going my way, he can kind of like reel me back in to the reality of the rose-colored glasses that I sometimes see things through, or I could also say the not so rosy glasses that sometimes I can see things through, are just a part of the process. Along the way, you just need someone to tell you you're doing great, you look amazing, carry on. Yeah. And then sometimes you also need the tough love of someone going, you know what? You don't look so amazing today. Yeah. Maybe we should make this change. And you have to be ready to
coach, by the way.
So he's one of my best friends. His name is Emmanuel Okori. So he is in Toronto, and obviously I'm out here. So we do all of our sessions virtually, and then we use an app for any of our training. It's just kind of on the app, so we can communicate that way. And yeah, it's been great. He did some shows. He's going to compete. He will be back on the stage as a master in the next few years, but he is just taking a little step back from his own opportunities of being an athlete. And I don't know if I should really say this, but he also kind of wants to do his next show completely vegan. So he wanted to give it a little wiggle room on how he's going to be able to maintain muscle mass without, the egg whites and the whey protein.
And that would be very interesting. I would like to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely not easy to do a show complete vegan, not even vegetarian. You're saying vegan, eh? Okay, very cool. All right, so last words from you, Dr. Becky.
Well, last words from me is thank you so much, Dr. Flo, for having a platform and having, the foresight to provide information for yourself, like finding out different things for yourself, but also somewhere for other individuals to, be able to look and grow and say, you know what, I think I could do that too. And so I think it is a wonderful thing to connect with people on multiple different ways and levels, and energy is definitely received and given near and far.
Thank you. And where can we follow you if we want to follow your journey and support you as well? Join the kettlebell.
Absolutely. So challenge. You can find me on Instagram. It's Dr. Becky-Stew 87. I could probably drop the 87. I think I'm the only Dr. Becky-Stew, but I have a goal as to what my next name will be on Instagram once I accomplish my next goal. So for now, it is Dr. Becky-Stew 87 on IG. And sometimes I will post a lot, and then other times I will post nothing. We just need a purge at times of social media. But for the most part, that is the platform that I use most often.
Okay, wonderful. Well, please go follow Dr. Becky on Instagram And she says, like, you know, I think it's a public profile, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so you can follow her journey. She has lots of great content, and plus she's into fitness and chiropractic. So you'll learn a lot of things, you know, for your whole, you know, the whole wellness. Thank you again. And thank you everyone for joining us. Bye.